From the mountains to the valleys, from the desert to the shoreline, and all the ships at sea. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, and you're listening to What Just Happened, Project Wasabi's brief recap of important events from around the world. This podcast is about 7.5 minutes. Scorching hot weather prompts a heat advisory all day today, with health officials reminding everyone to stay as cool and well hydrated as possible. Weather forecast such as it is suggests the advisory will extend throughout tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon, so stay frosty, my friends. Starting this Friday, California movie theaters are allowed to reopen, but with face masks required, social distancing, and only 25% of each theater's regular occupancy. As California tries to safely reopen certain businesses, nail salons and barbershops are still off limits due to the urgent need for social distancing, prompting a group of nail salons in Orange County to file a lawsuit to force Governor Gavin Newsom to allow them to reopen this Friday along with other businesses. According to Johns Hopkins University, as of this morning, Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, since the start of this year, just in the United States alone, we've lost more than 111,000 people. 593 of whom just in the past 24 hours. Despite lack of authority and any evidence of wrongdoing, the president wants to designate Antifa a terrorist organization. Attorney General William Barr said in a statement, quote, "The violence instigated and carried out by Antifa and other similar groups in connection with the rioting is domestic terrorism and will be treated accordingly," unquote. But federal law enforcement officials have offered little evidence that Antifa or Antifa-aligned protesters could be behind a movement that's appeared nearly simultaneously in hundreds of cities and towns in all 50 states since George Floyd's death. And according to an internal FBI memo obtained exclusively by The Nation, a U.S. weekly magazine, the FBI's Washington field office reported, quote, "no intelligence indicating Antifa involvement or presence," unquote. Fox News Sunday, June 7th. Retired Admiral Mike Mullen, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, comments on the president's threat of using active-duty military troops to dominate the streets of U.S. cities. Retired Admiral Mike Mullen.
The potential use of our military to fight our own people, to deploy in the streets, to dominate in the battle space. We have a military to fight our enemies, not our own people. And our military should never be called to fight our own people as enemies of the state. And that, quite frankly, for me, really tipped it over. Particularly when they are executing their right to protest, emblazoned in the Constitution of the United States.
Retired General Colin Powell comments on President Trump's response and how we as a country are viewed on the world stage.
Our moral standing has been demonized by what not only the world is thinking, but they're just looking at us. They're looking at these demonstrations. They see that these are demonstrations that are justified and not to be criticized. They see that George, as the president called him, was murdered. And the president comes out and said, well, George is looking down from heaven and blessing what I'm doing. How can you expect anybody to believe things like that? That's the kind of language we see coming from overseas. And the overseas clients that we have, our friends and some of our adversaries, looking at how we are taking care of our people. Are we insulting everybody? Are we going after immigrants? They don't understand this. I'm the son of immigrants. I wouldn't be here if my parents couldn't come here in banana boats in the 1920s. This is America. This is who we are. And the world doesn't understand.
As defund the police becomes a rallying cry, Houston, Texas Police Chief Art Acevedo shares his thoughts.
Well, all you got to do is look at what happens when the police don't have the consent of the community, and you start seeing that it can be chaos. You know, disbanding the police doesn't make any sense. It's an invitation to chaos. That's not what this nation's about. But I think that when you peel back the onion, I hope that what the City Council of Minneapolis is saying is that maybe their department needs to reinvent itself. Maybe they need to do like Camden, New Jersey did with Scott Thompson, where they actually disbanded in a very methodical and thoughtful way their police department, started a new county police department, and they got to choose the best of the officers that were already there before and get rid of some of the dead weight that actually hurt the good cause of policing and hurt good police officers because they're really not worthy of wearing the uniform. So there's a way to actually do those things, but to do it just from the hip would be disastrous for any city.
Free speech advocates applaud. Los Angeles County District Attorney Jackie Lacey announced that she will not file charges against any protester simply for curfew violation or failure to disperse. At age 63, the first woman to serve as Los Angeles DA directed her legal staff to decline to prosecute these cases in the interests of justice. Quote, "I believe wholeheartedly in free speech and support the right of protesters to demonstrate peacefully against historic racial injustice in our criminal justice system and throughout our nation," District Attorney Lacey said. Quote, "I want to encourage the exchange of ideas and work to establish dialogue between law enforcement and protesters so that we may implement enduring systematic change," unquote. And happy birthday wishes going out today to Canadian-born actor Michael J. Fox, who turns 59, and to actor Johnny Depp, who turns 57. On behalf of What Just Happened, happy birthday, gentlemen. Los Angeles weather, next 3 days should be sunny and crazy hot. Afternoon temperatures in the mid-90s, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So stay as cool as possible and drink plenty of water-based fluids. And if all goes well, temperatures should cool slightly as we approach the weekend. Friday and Saturday temps to a more civilized low 80s. You've been listening to What Just Happened, a service of ProjectWasabi.com. From Los Angeles, California, podcasting daily at 12 noon on the websites Facebook, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. What Just Happened is Project Wasabi's brief recap of significant events from around the world. On behalf of What Just Happened and its parent company, ProjectWasabi.com, this is Brian Newberry saying thank you for listening, stay healthy, y salud, and we'll talk to you soon.